So on both sides, we began learning the Tosfos Katan Iyatot Tzorech Lachzor. And the Gemara is assuming that there's no need to check out, in the case of a ger and a katan, as to whether or not they have heirs, they have yorshim, they have children, because we assume v'yodua she'ein lo, that a katan cannot be molid. And Abaye objects to this on Daf Samach Tes Amud Aleph, and he's going to try to prove that a katan, when he's a ben Tesha, he can actually father a child. And Tosfos is bothered. Oh, I see Steve is here. Good. Tosfos is bothered by the following question. V'im tomar, right? Uminole lahai katan mamona. The premise here is that the katan has mamon, but he's not capable of being morishit because he's not capable of procreation. But he could own mamon. So Tosfos asks the following question. V'amrinan beperik misha meis, in the Gemara Bava Basra, it says, Ein zchiyah lekatan, that a katan cannot acquire ownership. Again, this is not such a simple matter because a katan could inherit his father. But if we're talking about a ger, then a ger is kekatan shenoladon. In any event, we have a principle called ein zchiyah lekatan. The ibishe zikulo al yedei acher. Let's say someone else, let's say he picked up a lost object, a hefker or whatever, and he said, I'm being zochen it on behalf of a katan. Or ikalaman the over perik misha meis, the zochen legadol v'ein zochen lekatan. Right, a katan cannot have a shliach, and zchiyah works midin shlichus, so I can't be a shliach to be zoch on behalf of the katan. So once again, we go back to square one. How could this katan own mama? But even according to that opinion that says you can be zoch on behalf of katan, hainu midrabanan, v'lo midoraisa. On a doraisa level, for sure, you cannot be zocha for a katan because that would make you into shliach, and in which case the katan is a mishalech. A katan can't be a mishalech; he can't have a shliach. T'schia mitoras shlichus kidemuchach v'perikam debab mitzia. And now we're going to see a little bit of bab mitzia. Now, Tosfos is of the opinion that zchiyah is mitam shlichus, which means that the Maisa Kinyan of Reuven on behalf of Shimon is related to Shimon as if Shimon did that Maisa. And that's true for shlichus, but it could be that zchiyah is different than shlichus. It obviates and circumvents the whole need for shlichus. And there's a separate halacha of zechiyah in which the maisa remains the maisa of the mezakeh, and it doesn't have to relate to the zocher through shlichus, but rather the chalos, the kinyan, is chal on behalf of Shimon. Now, Reuven is mezakeh Shimon, Reuven does the Maisa Kinyan, and the Chalos Kinyan is Chal on behalf of Shimon. That's called Schia Lav Mitam Shlichus. Our Tosfos here is operating with the premise that Schia Mitam Shlichus. There's a Mandi Omer that says Yesh Schia Lekatan, and Tosfos is not willing to say that Schia Lav Mitam Shlichus. The answer is it's only Midrabbanan. So Rabbanan made a takana that a gadol can be zoch on behalf of a katan, but that only operates midrabbanan. Now, how does Tosfos know that Schia is mitam shlichus? Kidemuchach beperakam debav mitzia, the amrin and hasam. This is the sugi of kinyan chatzer. That chatzer mishum yada isra boy. That if a person is kona through his chatzer, let's say, for example, a hefker, some object of hefker falls into his chatzer, he's kona mishum yada. So chatzer is like yad. What is yad? The logara mishlichus. The Gemara says that yad is no different than shlichus. It's not worse than shlichus. So you see that when the chotzer is being zocha on behalf of the Baal HaChotzer, he's doing so through Torah shlichus. Now, where is the source for chotzer? That's in the parsha of Gerushin. And the Torah says, "V'nasan biyada," and yada includes even the chatzah. So that's called chatzah mishum yada. That's why it says yada in the feminine, because we're talking about an isha miskareshes bechatzera. Now, katan la bar shlichus. Katan can't have a shliach operating on his behalf, and if the zacha, the mezakeh, is operating as the shliach of the katan, who's going to be zocha, then we're going to apply the principle of ein shlichus lekatan. Okay. So now again, getting back to our sugya here in Sanhedrin, where we learn from a Yalfusa, from the Mikra itself, that a katan, in a case of a katan, you don't have to look and see if he has Yarshim or not. So we're dealing with the Deraisa halacha. And obviously the katan has Momon, but we're trying to figure out, does he have Yarshim, does he not have Yarshim? But how did he get to Momon? That's getting daf samach daladam in beis. So that's the sugya of two levels, or two maturation levels of a katan. The Gemara says that srar v'zarko, egos v'notlo. He knows the difference between a pebble and a walnut. You know, you give him a pebble and he throws it away. You give him a walnut and he puts it in his pocket. So he does have some level of das. Zochel yatzmo, v'eno zochel acherim. does have some level of das as far as kinyanim is concerned, and he can make an acquisition, a kinyan on his own behalf. He's not yet a gadol, so he doesn't have full das. He's in kind of a middle stage, and therefore he cannot operate on behalf of a gadol. So this is also a Gemara in Sukkah. I think we mentioned it yesterday, that if you would give your lulav to a katan, then he could be zocha in the lulav, but he can't give it back to you. So you have to be very careful that before you give it to him, make sure you are yotzei the mitzvah of lulav. Now we get to the third level of maturation. So the first level of a katan, he doesn't know the difference between a tzrar and an egos. It's all the same to him. The value of money is not on his comprehension level. Then we get to the second level. He knows the difference between a tzrar and an egos. This one he takes care of, this one he throws away. Now we get to a higher level, which I guess would mean that he has full das. You give him an object and he understands that he has to give it back to you. It's not his. So he really knows what bailus is all about. In the other case, he knows what an object of value is, but he doesn't know bailus. He doesn't know kinyanin. He knows that at tzrar you throw away, it's meaningless. There are 50,000 pebbles on the street. But an egos, yeah, we can eat a walnut. My mother will put it in the salad. But he doesn't necessarily know the difference between what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine, bailus, until he gets to the third level. And that's called chefetz, nosim lo chefetz, umachziro liachar shah. Is then, since he reached the highest level, not only is he zocha for himself, but bein liatzmo bein lacherim. He can now acquire ownership not only for himself, but he can be a shliach for someone else. And all this is doraisa. Umashma dahainu midoraisa. Midaparech leman diomar. Echad zeh v'echad zeh. Meaning, even when he reaches according to this opinion, the highest level, that he understands and appreciates what bailus is, he'll return your object to you. Even so, eino zochel acherim. He's still a katan, he's not a gadol yet. And the Gemara asks, Mehahi Timarimin al Meiser Sheni. Where is my Rimin al Meiser Sheni? I don't know. Does it tell you where that is? I'm just curious. So far, I don't know. If anybody knows, please tell me. So what's the case of Marimin al Meiser Sheni? So I have a footnote here. John, I always forget, you have this Masifta? You do? So take a look in the section after the Rashi section. There's a Tosfot section. There's a footnote number Yud Aleph. So we're talking about Poda Meiser Sheni. When you make a pigeon on Meiser Sheni, you have to add a chomesh, 20%. So let's say I have a vast volume of my Sheni has to be brought to Yerushalayim. Instead of schlepping it all to Yerushalayim, I do a pidyon, but I have to add 20%. And there's halach of ma'arimim al ma'aser sheni. You can do a harama. Ketzad, I'll just fill you in on the details. Omer adam libno bita gedolim liavdo v'shivchasa ivriyim halachem mos halalu upedu bahen ma'aser sheni zeh. So he gives them a bag of coins. And he says, I want you to be poda my Ma'aser Sheni on these coins. And how old is this Shivcha? She's a Ketana. Right? Because we're talking about a Jewish girl. Now, a Jewish girl technically is not called a Shivcha. We'll call her an Amevriya. But an Amevriya is Yotzeis B'Simonim with two Saras. So we must be talking about a Ketana. Otherwise, there's no such thing as an Amevriya. And the word Shivcha here means Amevriya. So Amevriya by definition is a Ketana. Now, when she does a pidyon, now she's being zoche in the Ma'aser Sheni on behalf of her master. He's a gadol. So how can you tell me that Eino zoche lacherim? Here's a case of a ketana who is zocha in this Ma'aser Sheni on behalf of the master, the gadol. And all this is d'oraisa. And the Gemara answers that we're talking about Truma d'Rabbanan. So cotton has Chiyah midrabbanan. So he says, the mashma, the zocha lacherim midoraisa. In other words, from the fact that the Gemara raises an objection to the man who says Eina Zoch Lacherim, meaning that if you hold that he's Zoch Lacherim, then I understand very well how the Amavriya could be poda the Maser on behalf of Adon, and that would be fine. That would be Nichale. It means that she's Zoch Lacherim Doraisa. Because if you're going to tell me that Zochel Acherim is only D'Rabbanan, and on a D'Oraisa level she's not Zochel Acherim, so how can this Ketana, this Amavriya, be mafresh? Be podech Ma'aser Sheni on behalf of the Adon, which is a D'Oraisa halacha. So we see that certainly we're talking about a cotton who's got Mammon Midoraisa, and even can operate on behalf of Acherim Midoraisa. And what does that mean? It means the cotton has das. So if this be the case, then we have an answer to Tosfos' original question. How could it be in our sugya? We're looking to see if this cotton has yarshim. What moment does he own? And the answer is, if it's a cotton that yeshbo das, right? You give him a tzvar and he knows what to do with it. You give him an egos, he knows what to do with it. So wait a second. But we started with a Gemara. Tosfos Kasha was predicated on the Gemara Misha Meis that ain't zechil lekatan. So you're going to have to say that ain't zechil lekatan means he's much younger, much less mature. He doesn't even know the difference between a tzrar and an egos. Now Tosfos quotes a Mishnah in Gittin. So this is in Gittin Nun Tes. Mitzias cheres shotu v'katan Yesh b'hem gezel mipnei darkei shalom. It's a whole takana of the rabbis that we're not allowed to steal a mitzvah that was picked up by a katan, meaning on a deraisa level, there would be no problem. We don't darkei shalom is only a rabbinic institution. But deraisa law. So why do we need this takana of mifnei darkei shalom? L'chora he has chiyah d'oraisa. So I don't know why Tosfos doesn't give the old answer again. That maybe we're talking about a katan who knows he doesn't know the difference between a tzrar and an egos. I don't know. So Tosfos says, Das acheres makno sunshine. Let's see if we can figure this out. 1 second. Das acheres makno sunshine. In other words, what? He does have zechia on a doraisa level, and that we proved from the Mishnah of Marimin al Meiser Sheni, but that's only in Das Acheres Makna. So this case of Mitzias Katan means that he was Zoche Me'atzmo, and he cannot be Zoche Midaraisa. What he's capable of is Das Acheres Makna if somebody else is Makna on his behalf. It's Kona on his behalf. But Mitzia again, it's not Das Acheres Makna, he's being Zocha for himself, and that's only D'Rabbanan. So wait a second, in the case of Meiser Sheni, why is that Das Acheres Makna? I'm missing something. Can anybody help me out here? So again, Tosfos is saying the only thing that's Doraisa is Das Acheres Makna. Somebody else is Zocha on his behalf. But in the case of Mitzias Chereshot V'Katan, he's being Zocha al Avur Atzmo for himself, and therefore it's only D'Rabbanan, Mishum Darkei Shalom. So what happened to the case of Marimin al Meiser Sheni? Tana was doing the pidyon. Why is that called Das Acheres Makna? Oh, I see. I got it. Everybody has it. Just you didn't want to embarrass me. I finally Simon Yarad. What's happening is that the Adon, the owner of the Meiser Sheni, gives a pot of coins over to the Ketana, over to the Omavriya. She now owns those malls. How? Because of Das Acheres Mak. Then she goes ahead and she switches the Kedusha from the Meiser Sheni Dagon onto the malls. And that she could do because she owns the malls. And she's going to do this on behalf of the Adon. And now he doesn't even have to pay a chomesh. So that's Das Acheres Mak. Okay, good. I was missing that one point. Hashta, Nicha Hadi Omar, this is a member of Rab Zera, Beperk Lulav Ve'arava, Sukkadaf Memvav, Lo Likni Inshi Lulave Lianuka, right, on the first day of Yontif of Sukkot, he shouldn't be makna his lulav to the katan. Dinuka mikna kani aknuye lo makna. He could be kone through das acheres makna, which is a kinyan doraisa, but he can't be makna. He can't give it back to you. So that's what Tosfot says. The mikni kani afilu midoraisa al yidei das acheres makna osan soche doraisa. The mikne kani afilu midoraisa dal yidei das acheres makna osan zoche midoraisa. What is le'acherim? The Rav Asi, the Gittin. One second, do we know anything about Rav Asi and Gittin? Let's see. Let's go back a little bit. What does Rav Asi be Gittin? That he could be zocher even for acherim. Oh, wait a minute. We had that, right? Was that Rav Asi? Right. Before he said, the Omar, the echad zeh ve'echad zeh, zochel yatzmo v'ein zochel acherim. So that's one man diyoma. That's apparently Rav Chizda, according to Shmuel, in the Gemara Gittin Samach Daled Amud Beis. And who argues against him? That's Rabbi Yehuda in the name of As. He says that Chayfetz umachzir lachar shah zocher ben liatzvo ben lacherim. So that's Rav Asi. So that's what he says here. The al yidei das acheres makna zocho son and zocha midorais lacherim li Rav Asi de Gittin. That's also dorais that he can be zocha for acherim. But liatzmo kuli alma, right? So who's kuli alma? That was Shmuel, correct? Let me just get there. Rav Chizda in the name of Shmuel, who says that what? That eino zocha lacherim, but liatzmo he's zocha, and that's dorais. So again, what is zochel liatzmo here? I mean, let's just, it's a little bit tricky here. Uliatzmo lekuli alma means that in das acheres makne, he's not talking about a case of hefker. Hefker doesn't have das acheres makne. That's clearly mishum darkei shalom. So we have the following. If the katan is zochel liatzmo kuli alma lepligi, that's not chal. If he's zocher through das acheres makne, then kuli alma lo pligi, that he's kona, and that's doraisa. If on the other hand he's being zocher on behalf of someone else, then we have the machlokas between Shmuel and Rav Asi. So Rav Asi holds that it could be zochel acherim, and Shmuel holds he cannot be zochel acherim. He can only be zochel liatzma, which means through das acheres mak. Reish Perek Beis the Kiddushin. Ish zocha v'yein katan zocha. So this is a sugi of Korban Pesach, and a katan could not be zocha in the Pesach. But the question is, that's a case of das acheres makna. The acherim are being mezakim in the Korban Pesach. I knew. Tosfos answers the ein memana acherim al pischa. He writes here in the note that he inherited a Korban Pesach from his father, and he cannot be machne it to others. Right, because there's no das acheres. Wait a second, we just finished saying that according to Rav Asi, he is zochel acherim. Once again, I got stuck. I don't get it. We have Ravasi, and Ravasi says Zochel Acherim. Tos says is Doraisa. It seems to me that he's going according to Shmuel. He's going according to Shmuel, and ein meman acherim al pischa. Ein meman acherim al pischa. Inami she'ein zochel acherim ka'omar. So what does ein meman acherim al pischa mean? Well, what's the difference between ein meman acherim al pischa and ein zochel acherim? And to me, though, that sounds identical. Zochel acherim ka'amar. Acherim makna osam. Udelo karavasi. Okay, that's good news. Udelo karavasi. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Both sides. I apologize, but it took me a while. But I think I finally extricated myself from this business here. The machlokes in Gittin on Daf Samach Daled Amud Beis between Rav Asi and Shmuel is about the following. Somebody wants to give, let's say, Reuven and Shimon, right? Reuven wants to give something to Shimon, but Shimon's not around. But there's a little child, not so little, but he's mature, and we'll call him Levi. And Reuven is going to give Levi something on behalf of Shimon. Levi is going to serve as the middleman on behalf of Shimon. On that, we have a machlokes between Shmuel and Rav Asi. And Rav Asi says it works, and Shmuel says it doesn't work. In other words, according to Shmuel, although, let's say Reuven gave something to Shimon on behalf of Levi, Levi's a katan, that would work. That's called das acheres makna. On that, lesman de polig. And that's why in the case of Meiser Sheni, the Bailim could give over to the Yom Avriya, the Ketana, Mos for the purpose of pigeon. That's called das acheres makna. But for the katan to be zochet hacherim, that's a machlokes in a case where there's das acheres makna, to be makna it to the other gadol through the agency of the katan. And the question is whether the katan could serve as an agent and receive the object, the possession, through das acheres makna on behalf of someone else. According to Rav Asi, yes. But according to Shmuel, no. But Rav Asi agrees that if, let's say, the katan owns something through das acheres makna, he cannot be makna it to someone else. So let's say, here's a good example. A father of a child owns a korban pesach, and now he dies. The child now inherits the korban pesach, and he wants to be mamana other people on the korban pesach. Kuliyama lo pligi, everyone agrees that he cannot do so. A katan does not have the ability to take his own personal possession and be makna it and give it over, bequeath it to someone else. So therefore, Tosfos offers two interpretations, I should say, to the halacha of ish zocha v'ein katan zocha with regard to Pesach. You can't take it literally that ein katan zocha b'korban Pesach, because everybody agrees that das acheres makna works d'oraisa, and that we saw from the case of Meiser Sheni. So what it must mean is one of two possibilities. First possibility is that ein memana acherim al pischo. So he owns the korban pesach. He inherited from his father. He can't be memana acherim. And once again, kuliyama lo pligi, that he doesn't have the ability to be mezakeh someone else. Or perhaps it means ein zochel acherim, meaning if Reuven wants to be zocher, shall we say, be mezakeh Shimon, Levi the katan could not be the middleman, even though there is das acheres makna. And then we're going according to Shmuel and not according to Rav Asi. Udeloka Rav Asi. So I apologize. It took me a long time to figure this out, but it's challenging. All right, the question is, should we stop here or should we push it a little longer? All in favor of pushing it a little longer, raise your hand. Anybody in favor of stopping here? Maybe we'll stop here, okay. So if that be the case, what's today's Thursday, right? So I'll wish you a good Shabbos. What are we up to? Parshas Vayera. And Mr. Shem, we'll get together again on Sunday. We'll start at 9:35. Correct? What remind me, what's happening on Sunday? Do we have, I don't think we have any changes on Sunday. Okay, good. Okay then? Okay, Shkar, thank you so much.